What should we look for from this batch, this group of new, as some will say, dynamic group of leaders?
What interests me about this more than anything else is how patient black people will be. Will we be satisfied and feel redeemed when we have a number of African Americans elected to various offices to which they've not been elected before? Will we be happy if they become governor or whatever it is, without regard to what they do? Now, my mother said something interesting to me about Obama. She said, I said, well, what about what he's going to do? And she said, well, I hope he does well, but even if he doesn't do anything, just by getting there, he's done something. So if we believe that folks who win these offices by having a message that gets them there and gets them that we don't need to worry too much about what they're going to do, and we don't ask too much about what they're going to do because it's all good. Will we be that patient?
But
I don't know.
Inherent in new leadership is new thought, and sometimes change, as we see and have seen historically, the winds of change don't always blow as easily as we would like them to. Do you think that the bulk of Black America, if we allow any monolithic thinking here, will allow for a different school of thought to come from this leadership?
If the school of thought is successful, it is my hope, because where you stand depends on where you really stand. If your condition is such that you need help, if you want to aspire to being a good father but you don't have a job, or if you want to do what you need to do, but you're hooked on drugs and nobody's helping you. If these new leaders come up with solutions to these problems, I think everybody will be happy. But I suspect that there will be quick impatience if they don't come up with anything except that they've got a strategy for winning.
There was always the whisper, people forget it now because he did win, early on, that Barack was not, quote, black enough. There is always this question of whether you're too light, whether you didn't grow up in the ghetto, whether this, whether that. Do you buy that we're getting away from that with this generation at all?
I think absolutely. I think that that's something that had to be done, and that's change that had to make. And this notion of who was the genesis of deciding who is black and who is not black, and you're just a little bit black here, but you're not black here. That never made any sense to me or anybody who was intelligent.
Yeah, we
about
say
the
with wink and nods through comedians and televisions that there is this sense of authentic black life, and you can't be too rich, you can't, you got to have a cousin in jail, you got to have this. And stereotypically speaking, that is absolutely what happens. But sometimes with a wink and a nod, we have tended to acknowledge that in some way, shape, or form.
I think we're mostly beyond that, not all the way. But I really do think the test is going to be, everybody will applaud new black leadership, but everybody will not be happy if nothing happens. I mean, I think we have to see what, in fact, the problems of poverty, and homelessness and jobs and all those things are solved, and the new leaders have some solutions, then the people who are in those predicaments, those who are not, well, maybe they won't care as much. Yeah. But I think that that's going to be the question.
Let me give you a quick policy example. Barack Obama talked in 2007 about establishing 20 centers. They're going to be parental guidance, youth advocacy, youth training, job training, just one-stop centers like they have in New York. They have one here in the district. We're talking about this infrastructure and stimulus and all that. I haven't heard one governor, one mayor talk about where's the funding for these centers to help the 50% of African Americans who are not finishing high school finish high school. There's no discussion about that. And I think that is something that has to be
on the same day that we were celebrating on the mall on Sunday in New Orleans, you had 2 black teenagers among the dysfunctional who haven't been taken care of since Katrina, who go out to rob some woman. And since she doesn't want to be robbed, she's murdered. And this happened then. And there are things happening every day, every hour, every minute that keep on happening that need to be attended to.
Well, obviously, with that illustration, Mary, we can only hope that either new or old black leadership comes up with some thought that will help eradicate that which has been with us for far too long. I thank you both, appreciate it very much. And we should note, you told me to make note of this. You were part of our roundtable right before the election, and I believe you were the only reporter that said, hey, this thing is over early. Yeah. He's going to win it. We can go to bed. And in fact, kudos to you on that one. I thank you both. Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.